So to continue with that section, which is lesson 153, this is the second part. I think the recording is going to be split in two. Defenses are the costliest of all prices which the ego would exact. So it is one of the ways that it keeps us trapped in the illusion, constantly expecting ourselves to be attacked. In them lies madness in a form so grim, the hope of sanity seems to be an idle dream beyond possible. The threat the world encourages is so much deeper and so far beyond the frenzy and intensity of which you can conceive. It's just a continuous thing. And so we become its slave. We do not know what we do. We fear all the time, and we're expecting an attack to come from anywhere. And so in that belief that around every corner is an attack comes the attack, because you're creating it by believing that the world is going to attack you. You do not understand how much you've been made to sacrifice. You feel its iron grip upon your heart. You do not realize what you have done to sabotage the holy peace of God by your defensiveness, because the Holy Son of God is perfect and nothing attacks him. The minute you create a defensive idea, attack is inevitable. Where you behold the Son of God as a victim to attack fantasy by dreams and illusions that he has made, yet helpless in their presence, needful only of defense by still more fantasies and dreams by which the illusion of his safety confront him. It's just this continuous, perpetual, never-ending cycle of attack, defend, attack, defend. Defenselessness is strength, because it's the belief in the perfection and reality of love. It doesn't pay any attention to the illusionary wars of this world and the attack thoughts we used to have upon ourselves. It testifies to the recognition of the Christ in you, the reality that you are that self-same essence, which is the self-same essence as God. Perhaps you will recall the text maintains that choice is always made between Christ's strength, your strength, and you as a body-mind's weakness, seen apart from the Christ you are, apart from him being you. Defenselessness can never be attacked because it recognizes strength so great, attack is folly, or a silly game of tired children might play when he becomes too sleepy to remember what he wants. When you live with the light of Christ as your truth, there's no attack thoughts, and the world can only play what you believe. So it's not asking you to lay aside any form of defense and move into a war zone and you know, no bullets will strike you. You won't be attracted to a war zone. You won't be attracted to conflict. Your life will seem peaceful. Now, of course, attack thoughts happen in the dreaming mind, and whether you're awakened to self or not, you will still be semi-conscious of the attack thoughts, but it won't be your reality anymore, so it won't directly affect you. And I speak from experience, because in my 20s to early 30s, my life was just one battle after the next. As soon as I started to transcend into a higher conscious awareness, the awareness of self, and that was still a young initiate of the mysteries, it started to shift radically. Whereas I noticed that my friends that came from a similar school, bodyguards and martial artists, and they were still experiencing attacks all the time. And I found myself drifting away from those groups because I had nothing more in common. I didn't want to carry a firearm all the time. I didn't want to talk about war and conflict and fighting. Defensiveness is weakness. It proclaims you have denied Christ, denied the Christ, and come to fear his Father's anger. The Father you've imagined is the imaginary God, the man-made God, the vengeful God, the God of religions. Because God, true God, which is the essence of all that which is pure energy, pure love energy, unconditional. It only wants us to be the self-same knowing essence. It wants us to be love unconditional. What can save you now from your delusion of an angry God, small g, whose fearful image you believe you see at work in all the evils of the world? Or because you've got this, I love God and my deity and Jesus or whatever, well, then it can't be God, then it's the devil doing. Now we've split, again, the illusion into two. Now the devil's creating the atrocity because God is all loving. We don't dare say God is evil. And that's the preposterous argument of the fallen mind. It's imagined a God and it's imagined a adversary. Duality. And then you're trapped in between, this lost little soul trying to find salvation to appease God and deny the Satan. The devil made me do it. We hear that often. What is the devil, the Satan, but a not taking responsibility for our fallen asleep, dreaming mind, a mind that dreams of separation, fear, sin, and guilt, attack, defend. We don't want to accept that about ourselves, so we project it outwards, and it's the devil making us do it, or the devil attacking our thoughts, or the devil leading us to getting drunk and beating up on people, or taking drugs. And it's not the devil. It's your emptiness inside, seeking for fulfillment, searching to get rid of that emptiness, which we're so afraid of. And yet, when you go into the emptiness, when you go into that black hole, it just bursts open with the light you are. But the ego doesn't want you to go there. So the ego makes you fear going into the silent stillness, the void. Why? Because it will dissolve as it enters the void, and the light of awareness is what you are, will replace it. It's the end of the ego. And so it fears it and gets you to imagine all sorts of fearful demons that reside and lurk in the dark. And that's why you hear in religion, oh, meditation's evil, don't do this and don't do that. It's all evil. Because when you start to awaken and you go through the myriads of modalities of spiritual processes, which are illusory concessions, but taking you in the right direction, religion doesn't want you to go there, because the religion needs a devil. Because what is religion really? As much as religious people say they love God, and many of them do, the institutions which have educated them, schooled them, dogmatized them, are businesses. And in order for you to give your tithing, your 10%, and for them to thrive, they need you to fear the devil and love the God. And hence, defensiveness. What are you defensive against? The devil, pro-God. But guess what? Defensiveness makes the attack real. We will not play such childish games today, for our true purpose is to save the world. And we would not exchange for foolishness the endless joy our function offers us, to be the light in the toxic environments, amongst the narcissists, amongst the priests and prostitutes. What Jesus did, he went into the darkest areas, the lepers and prostitutes, and the tax collectors, ones that were shunned by society, and he loved them and he showed them the light of awareness. We will not let our happiness slip by because a fragment of a senseless dream happened to cross our mind, a dream of fear, sin, and guilt. And we mistook the figures in it for the Son of God. Its tiny instant for eternity. Figures aren't the Son, the essence, as we use the analogy, the screen on which the figures appear, that is the Son. The Son's mind, if we view the Son's mind, we view the universe. Universe is the activity of our Son of God's dreaming mind, which we've now fractured, and we're localized projections of that dreaming mind. This is a concession, it's a story, it's just pure energy. There was a glitch in the energy. Why? Because it wanted to make manifest its own fantasy. Again, a concession, a story. It wanted to play with energy. We look past dreams today and recognize that we need no defense, because we are created unassailable, without all thought or wish or dream in which attack has any meaning. Now we cannot fear, for we have left all fearful thoughts behind. And in defenselessness, we stand secure, serene, serenely certain of our safety now, because no matter, even if the body mind is attacked and killed, the essence of what I am is eternal. Sure of salvation, sure we will fulfill our chosen purpose to be ourself knowingly, to remember our true self, to remember our Christ itself, which instantly then remembers its source, God. As our ministry extends its holy blessing through the world. Be still a moment, be still and know I am. And in silence, think how holy is your purpose, how secure your rest, untouchable within its light, your purpose, to bring the light of awareness through yourself, capital S self, into the world you dream. And thus we, as we awaken to self, the self we are, awaken ourself, our dreaming self. God's ministers have chosen that the truth be with them. Who is holier than they? Nobody is holier or less holier, because we're all the same self. Who could be sure that his happiness is fully guaranteed, but one that knows his essence is happiness itself, not searching for it outside himself? And who could be more mightily protected? Because when you know safety in defenselessness, safety in the essence, the knowing the essence you are, no attack. What defense could possibly be needed by the ones who are amongst the chosen ones of God, by his election and by their own as well? It's a symbiotic relationship. It's a choosing to will God's will. And this next section is really the function as teachers or saviors of the world. And what is it to save the world? It's to awaken to our true reality. You're not saving anything. You're putting it away. The old term of the word save was to put things away. It's function of God's ministers. Sorry, it is the function of God's ministers to help their brothers choose as they have done. It's why I'm sharing this with you. I'm not sharing it for you. I'm sharing it because this is my function. It's for us, for our collective Christ mind. Why am I doing this? Do I think you need fixing? Absolutely not. I don't see you as broken. I don't see you in need of healing. I don't see you in the broken way you see yourself. I recognize we're all dream characters, but the essence of all of us is what's real. And that's the essence that is the voice of God for me, that brings me into this. And it's natural for me to share this. I can't help do this. This is natural for me. God has elected all of us, but few have come to realize his will is but their own, our own. And while you fail to teach what you have learned, salvation waits and darkness holds the world in grim imprisonment. Nor will you learn that light has come to you and your escape has been accomplished, for you will not see the light until you offer it to all your brothers as they take it from your hands, from your awareness. So will you recognize it as your own? And that's the greatest blessing a teacher receives unto himself, is when you're sharing a better way, the way that you've gone yourself, not just textbook answers and quoting scriptures and quoting X, Y, Z and page so and so, but really listening and giving advice at the level that the student can assimilate and adopt, and it helps them move inward in a lighter way, easier way, less struggle. And when you see them shift and awaken in themselves, and they start reflecting the very things that were reflected at you when you awoke to self back at you, and then you realize you're not evangelizing, you're sharing the love of God with the love of God. Salvation can be thought as a game that happy children play because they remember they are innocent. It was designed by one, capital O, who loves his children and who would replace their fearful toys with joyous games, which teach them that the game of fear is gone. This game instructs in happiness because there is no loser. Everyone who plays must win, and in his winning is the gain to everyone ensured. Now, in this world, when we were children, when I was a kid, everything was about competition. And who comes first and who comes second and third, and the rest are just dog poo. And if you were last, then you were shunned and teased. Today, kids still participate in competition, and everybody gets a trophy. Now, that's a reflection of the outcome of a unified awakening. But we're trying to play it out through a body-mind, still trapped in competition. So everybody gets we still compete, but everybody gets a trophy. There's no competition in God. What's given to one is given to all. What's shared with one is shared with all. So now we want to adopt the law of one of heaven in a world of separation by hanging on to the competition, but then feeling good about ourselves by giving even the weakest kid a trophy. But that kid still feels weak because he didn't come first. So the competition's still there, no matter even if everybody got a trophy. We create a society of moaners and complainers as opposed to people making a difference. Two types of people in the world. The ones that want to control everything and the ones that want to abscond everything. You have to find the balance where you share of yourself. You do something because you love it without an expectation of an outcome, without trying to control every aspect of it. Because when everybody partakes in the inward journey, everybody does win. Because what do you win? They win the memory of their true self, the memory of our shared essence with God. The game of fear is gladly laid aside when children come to see the benefit salvation brings innocently. So Jesus said, come to me as little children, in other words, completely defenseless, completely innocent, completely reliant and in total faith of their Father, completely. But we always hang on to a little, I pray to God, but God helps those who help themselves. True. But God lifts us into awareness when we surrender to. Let go, let God. You who have played that you are lost to hope, abandoned by your Father, left alone in terror and in a fearful world mad by sin and guilt. Be happy now. The game is over. You're awakening to self and you're realizing, and you've heard this 1,000 times before, self-help. Just really help yourself. What you resonate is what you attract. What you believe is what you see. What you think is what you experience. That's a process in the right direction. Now let's take down the defenses. Let's open and let the light out and embrace all of it. Unconditional. Can you love without attachment? Can you love without attraction? Can you love unconditionally, whether you agree or disagree? Whether they believe in the same God as you or not? We all believe in a God in some way or another. Even the atheist, by saying he doesn't believe in God, claims there's a God. Doesn't believe in it, but there's a God. So even amongst the spiritual community, we always have to argue over, is it consciousness or awareness, or is it non-duality, or is it what is? We have to agree and shoot people down. And a Rupert Spira rises up and there's videos made about what's wrong with him. And people are arguing in his forum. Hey, he's contributing, he's giving of himself. If he's completely wrong, what does it matter? He's lifting people up. The game is over. A quiet time has come in which we put away the toys of guilt and lock our quaint and childish thoughts of sin forever from the pure and holy mind of heaven's children and the Son of God. Heaven's children is the Son of God. Heaven's children are the fractured parts of the Son of God. We pause but for a moment more to play our final happy game upon this earth. New world, which is a reflection, even though it's in form, becomes a reflection of happiness, the happiness of heaven. And then we go and take our rightful place where truth abides and games are meaningless. So the story is ended. So we return to stillness. We return to silence within. There is no silence in the illusion. The silence is within. And even when you're in the silence, if forgiveness isn't complete, the attacked thoughts still come. Just don't pay attention. Let this day bring the last chapter closer to the world, that everyone may learn the tale he reads of terrifying destiny, defeat of all his hopes, his pitiful defense against a vengeance he cannot escape, is but his own deluded fantasy. Biblical distortion. God's ministers have come to wake him from the dark dreams this story is evoked in his confused, bewildered memory of this distorted tale. That's what the universe is, a distorted memory of a distorted tale, story. God's son can smile at last on learning that it is not true. The universe isn't true, the world isn't true, body mind isn't true. The essence of them all abides in the awareness of his dreaming mind. And his mind is pure awareness, which is the pure awareness of God. Pure awareness, pure energy. It's a concession, it's a word. Consciousness is the realm of dreaming. Various levels of consciousness. There's only one level of awareness. You're aware or you're not. You're awake or you're awakening. There's nothing in between. You're awake or you're awakening. You're aware or you're conscious. Levels of consciousness and fully awake, fully aware, aware of the essence we are, the true self. Today we practice in a form we will maintain for quite a while. Pay attention. We will begin each day by giving our attention to the daily thought as long as possible. 5 minutes now become the least we give to preparation for a day in which salvation is the only goal we have. Now remember, you can't make time. You allocate time. Allocate time. Allocating time is giving your tithing to God, not money to a church. 10 minutes would be better, 15 better still. And as distraction ceases to arise, to turn us from our purpose, to be ourselves knowingly, to remember the essence we are, to remember our Father, we will find that half an hour is too short a time to spend with God. Nor will we be willing to give less at night in gratitude and joy. Now, I'm a CEO of a company. Not the biggest one anymore, but I used to be. And even back then, I would dedicate at least 2 hours every morning and every night to this. And I have a hectic 18-hour day. If I can, so can you. Each hour adds to our increasing peace as we remember to be faithful to the will, capital W, we share with God. What is God's will? Happiness, joy, eternal, perpetual. At times, perhaps a minute, even less, will be the most we can offer as the hour strikes. Sometimes we will forget, no guilt. At other times, the business of this world, the business world, will close in on us, and we will be unable to withdraw a little while and turn our thoughts to God. Bullshit. I call bullshit. There's no way that you can't turn your thoughts to God even while you're riding motorcycle 300 km. I can, you can. Even when you're sitting on the train, staring into space, driving your car, just put on happy music and dedicate the song to God. Yet when we can, we will observe our trust as ministers of God. Minister. In other words, we demonstrate. That's what minister truly means. To minister is to demonstrate. In hourly remembrance of our mission and his love. Don't preach. In these forums we teach. This is a lecture. We're sharing and learning and education and understanding. Don't go, I don't do this with everybody in the world. Unless they ask, I don't share. Don't try and convert. There's nothing to convert. No one to convert. No one to save. We are all saved. We're just dreaming we're not. And we will quietly sit by, silent stillness, and wait on him, the awareness of him to come, and listen to his voice, and learn what he would have us do the hour that is yet to come, while thanking him for all his gifts he gave us, and in the ones gone by. Because him is our self-same essence, our shared essence with God. Him is us. The Holy Spirit is our holy self. In time, with practice, you will never cease to think of him and hear his loving voice guiding your footsteps into quiet ways where you will walk in true defenselessness, where you will know that heaven goes with you. Well, that doesn't go with you because you are in heaven. You've never left. So the love of God goes with you. Why? Because you are in the love of God. Your very essence is the love of God. That is true non-dual understanding. Nor would you keep your mind away from him a moment, even though your time is spent in offering salvation to the world. Think you he will not make this possible for you who chose to carry out his plan for the salvation of the world and yours? The decision is always my own. It's only but myself I save. And what do I sell? What do I save? My little self? No. The self is always saved. It's the recognition Salvation is a recognition that I'm not this, I'm the essence awareness of the true self. Today, our theme is our defenselessness. We clothe ourselves in it as we prepare to meet this day. We rise up strong in Christ, consciously aware of the awareness we are, and let our weakness disappear as we remember that his strength abides in us as us. We will remind ourselves that he remains beside us throughout the day and never leaves our weakness unsupported by his strength, for he is our strength. We call upon his strength each time we feel the threat of our defenses undermine our certainty of purpose. We will pause a moment as he tells us, I am here. I am this. Who's listening to me right now? What do you answer? I am. Who is here right now? I am. Who is the I am that is here right now? Your Christ mind, your very true self-essence, the essence which is your shared essence with God. That is your I am. This is your beingness. You're not a being. God is not a being. You're not a being in a being. You are the extension of God's beingness. You're the extension of God's love. Be that knowing. Your practice will now begin to take on the earnest of love, the earnesty of love, earnestness of love, to help you keep your mind from wandering from its intent to be thyself knowing. Be not afraid nor timid. There can be no doubt that you will reach your final goal, that you awaken to yourself. The ministers of God can never fail because the love and strength and peace that shine from them to all their brothers come from him who is our source, who is our Christ, who is our true self. These are his gifts to you. Defenselessness is all you need give him in return. Don't push away, don't fear him. You lay aside but what was never real and look on Christ and see your sinlessness. You look on the self and see your sinlessness. You look on yourself and recognize your shared essence with God. Be you that knowing. Thank you for joining me.